That is also that is the same thing. Right? So anyone, I didn't want to start with this question, right? I don't know what has made me to start with this question because I didn't expect that you, it can be a problem to define media. So I'm becoming surprised. You know, I know that you know, but is it that you don't know? Can I assume that some of you don't know, or maybe you don't want to answer? Because when we ask ourselves at this platform, as I said, this is a free platform, and I mean, it's a classroom, but it's not exams. You say whatever you think, and the good thing about it, when you say like the way I've done it, had it been it was exams, during exam, you would have failed partly, right? But because I'm telling you now, when exams come, you're not going to write the same way. That's a good thing of just, oh, you have got a thought, talk about it, right? And in this I mean let me say discipline of media, you need to get used to speaking a lot if you have got an idea, because when you do that, it's easier for somebody to collect you, and also you learn how to express yourself, because the mass communication issue is all about the expressing yourself, communicating, right? So if you, and I even said it before, said that there's even a field of public speaking, right? The thing is, if you want to be a good public speaker, those people who are good public speakers, it's not that they don't have fear for the group. No, no, no. It's like when you have fear of something, like speaking, and then you go against your fear and you speak. Once you speak, that fear just goes down slowly, slowly, slowly. And next time you're not going to be afraid, right? And later on, you will even be easy to speak with the much group. But the people will say, I will have said something. Then I don't want to say it. Then somebody said, you didn't say it. The next time you would say, so the fear will be growing, right? To the extent that when they say to tell you, can you speak? Even if it's of something that you know, you're going to struggle. Why? Because you are not making yourself getting used to speak. Because what we're talking about is, it's not that we are telling you to say something you don't know. No. Asking you to say something that you know. Since it's not exams, you can say anything. You cannot be afraid that I'm going to fail. Maybe no, no. It's an open region. I mean, it's an open forum. No wonder in our field again, we encourage there's supposed to be an encouragement of having debates, right? When you have debates, you learn that art of interaction, speaking your ideas, and the language. It helps you to know how best you can speak by speaking. All these politicians, they do the same thing. Even comedians, stand-up comedians, they say something they thought is nothing, and they discover people are liking it, right? So if I can say it like this, people react like this. So you learn by and by. That's what I mean. But I mean, I wanted us to define that multimedia. That's why I started by media, but I didn't expect that no one would not know. What you are saying, you are partly correct, but I wanted you to use maybe another word of the same. I'm just asking. I'm saying that our colleagues. Does it mean that you don't know or anything about media? You don't have ideas what the media is in anything else? You have heard this word before, like yourself. Let me start from the beginning, because I was giving you, I mean, freedom to speak, so I will be now pointing, starting with our lady, the first lady. I mean, the lady at the first. No, should maybe it's the word, whatever. What do you know? Media. Okay, okay, okay. I know that you know. I know that you know what you want to say, but now it's a matter of what words to use to express that what you know, eh? Because you say it's communication, then you are saying radio. What is radio? What is, because you're supposed to put some other words in between to say maybe these are examples or something, right? Assuming that someone who doesn't know anything about it is listening. So you just jump from is struggled and then you example without any linking words between, right? Okay. Okay, I'll move faster. One of the key words of maybe if you like us to define something easily. I know that you know. If you know something, I said one of the trick to have a definition that is correct is to think of the attributes of that thing. Media. Okay, media mapanga jana. If you can have a definition talking about what it does, eh? For example, an institution that communicate messages through maybe voices. It's like you are defining that, okay, this is one of the function, and then that could be a definition. Could not be the whole definition, but could say, okay, because the media is that, but it's not only that. So you can think of what the media is. Okay, I wanted us to do that, but it's good that I started by asking what media is, because you might end up learning, forgetting that maybe simple wording. Well, that's a beginning. Whereby talking about will be called people's maybe media members of the press. I know media. They say sometimes press. Why do they call the members of the press? Because if you talk about the media, as I said, that medium is a singular, right? So if medium is singular, and then you're talking about radio, TV, newspaper, those are mediums. They are like singular, right? So what we're talking about, radio, TV, newspaper, magazine, these are vehicles for communication, right? Because what we do is communication, right? And usually the communication we are doing is mass communication, right? No wonder when you are going to start learning about media or whatever, you are going to start to learn about the communication process, basic communication process, whereby you start by interpersonal, whereby is a communication or exchange of information between two people, right? Interpersonal. Then you go to a group communication, whereby it's a communication or exchange of information or receiving and the sharing of information between one person, individual, and a number of people, which is a group, not more than 12 people, right? Then from group, you go to what is called the mass communication. But mass communication now is a communication, a way of communicating or exchanging information that is among so many people, right? Thousands, could be larger than groups, right? So you have mass communication. Now, when it comes to the media was not formed to communicate to a single person, right? I don't know if you have ever found that there's just one book that was without any copies of that book. Just one. Have you ever seen that? Or one film, just one. No, not even copies of even online. It never happened, right? No wonder you find that when you check examples of mass media, right? You discover that the radio, it targets thousands, millions. A newspaper is the same, right? So, radio TV. So, mass media, right, is now, that's what we're talking about. Now, the media itself is these channels of communication, right? The vehicles, right, that are used to transmit information from the source to the receivers. But now, these receivers are not just few people, there are many people, right? So that's why you end mass communication. So when you think about these No wonder they say when you say medium, if you take radio, you take it as a medium. Newspaper take it as a medium, and all those. But when you think about the larger level, you think about that. Now, as I said that I talked about media itself, right? Um, I know when I talk about when I say that communicating between mass, you see where when you reach the mass media, but when it comes to media itself, right? It's like these are the let me just say it's more or less like the vehicles, right? That are going to be used to transmit information to so many people, right? But you have got so many examples of this because you have the media, some other media that are in so many formats, right? For example, if you are talking about print media, right? Print media is not only just a newspaper, right? Print media, you talk about magazine, you talk about flyers, you talk about brochures, those are all print media, right? Part of the I mean, in the print media. Maybe that's why it's like when they say print media is on the plural side because of what it has inside. You have so many of them, right? So when you have radio and TV is electronic media, right? Why print media we're talking about is that type of media where that uses ink. They use ink and the characters that are printed on a paper, right? Print. Electronic media uses electronic gadgets, right? Electronic instruments to transmit information. That's why you have radio, you have TV, right? So in this electronic media, again, you have elements inside it then, right? So usually you find so many aspects, right? So sometimes you could do you have one platform. For example, if you're talking about the print media, it's like you're talking about a singular medium, a section, right? Electronic with maybe one section. You could think about electronic, you think about, let me say, radio, TV, and now go find of some other elements. You find that so many gadgets that are in this one, right? Whereby information could be transmitted through maybe a cassette or through CD or through Bluetooth. So there are so many ways. You have also electronic and print again. You could have elements like images, right? You could have actual image whereby it's on a printed form, the image in electronic form, whatever, right? So, okay, that's I wanted just to clarify the media. So when they say multimedia, usually it talks about it's more or less like talking about these different types of media coming together, right? If you talk about the newspaper, usually newspaper is not a multimedia because it has got the characteristics of a print medium, right? Whereby you can't have moving images, right? It's only printed images on a paper. But if you can have newspaper, and on the newspaper, there's also somewhere you can have watch a video, right? At the same time, there's somewhere you can play an audio. So if you have these different formats, this could be a multimedia medium, right? Whereby you are having these different formats of media in one place, right? So that's what it means there, right? And in the multi-image, that's straightforward now. It's an image, right? So you might want to communicate using image, or you might want to, like his instruction, maybe you want to do instruction using image, but now you don't want to just use one image. You use two or more images, right? Meaning, if You might have, and this image is not like just a physical image. It could be anything. You could have a projector like what I'm doing here. I could have another projector there and another projector here. Well, I'm trying to explain something. If I can do something like that, whereby people are telling you, do you see this? Can you compare that side? That is the image that we're talking about, right? So these are some kind of presentations that have been used. And if you can see, multi-image and the multimedia presentations have the capability of greatly enhancing the quality of presentation since they are cooperative. And usually we talked about presentation because in instruction you might want to use this, like the way we do, like the way I'm doing. I'm using this to do presentation, right? So it is making things, maybe my teaching easier because you can see what I'm talking about. So imagine if I can have other ways, right? So although a teacher, was as a teacher, you may not have the opportunity for such presentation. I think that's there's a typos here. Yeah, but let's just start from there with now the mat image because I think I've eaten a little bit time. And here the definition here is talk about refers to presentations in which an image is presented from different perspectives or an aspect seen at different locations, right? And the image or images are projected simultaneously either from different media sources or television. And the emphasis in this presentation is the image to provide means of comparison and perspective. So uh, I know right now I'm a little bit. I should go forget that there's. I don't know if you have never learned that originally. I've done this communication graphics. Have you done that course? Okay, because I also teach communication graphics. So there are some other elements that are interlinking, to the extent sometimes when I'm mentioning something, I forgot that this is not the class, right? Like for example, if you talk about the projected, but here we talked about it, we talked about projected media, isn't it? We talked about projected media and the projected media, meaning we know what projected is, right? When you say, like here, when you say the image or images are projected simultaneously, either from different media sources or television. It means we know what we're talking about, right? You remember the projected media and the projected media. Is it not the class? This is the class. This is the instructional media, isn't it? So, didn't I talk about projected media? And you can even go check your slides. One of the few, the first classes, we talked about projected media, and there are examples of projected media, examples there. Slides are there. There's non-projected media, and there are also slides. So imagine I was confusing. I thought I taught it in the communication graphics, but I remember no. This is the class. So it's either you didn't go through the slides, or I don't know, but we did. Maybe you for a newcomer, maybe you might not have time to go through, but all these students that we did, isn't it? Okay, so simple thing is, it's nothing complicated. It's just as the English word is saying. When you say projecting, what are we talking about? This projector, that's a projector, right? What we are seeing at this wall is a projected material. We are seeing on this wall is not on this wall, right? This is in this laptop. So it has been taken from this laptop through that projector. That projector has projected it on this wall. So when we talk about projected media, we are talking about if you have got any media, instructional media, you can use it. It is for teaching, right? That you need to use a projector like that one, or a gadget that is going to project it on something, right? So, or you can just think about it, so many examples. For example, if you talk about even the film, it's a projected media, right? Because you have something somewhere and it's being projected somewhere. So anything that is going to need a machine so that the information should be projected on somewhere electronically. That's projected media, right? So, but meaning the way the project itself is to more or less like superimpose on something, right? Because here we were talking about the presentation. So usually this presentation could be you're using projected media, right? That's why here say the image or images are projected simultaneously. Meaning, as I've told you, I could have this slide here, then I could have another projector that side projecting something on that board, right? So that is simultaneously. At the same time, I'm projecting that one, I'm also projecting this one, right? So if you are using that one, that is a multi-image, because this could be taken like, oh, this is an image, right? So there is a way, for example, as I've just said, that maybe I'm trying to explain, maybe it's a scientific something, right? And it's an image that if I show you one image, you don't understand it, right? So I need to call you to show you two images or pictures or diagrams for you to compare, to see them at the same time. To say, do you see this? Okay, can you also see there? So if you are using that approach whereby you are having two or more, because this is math, it's not only two, it could be maybe three, maybe there, and there. Projection, right? But the key word is simultaneous, whereby people are going to be seeing them at the same time. So there could be an advantage or disadvantage. And some of the advantage and disadvantage, you can even think about it. If I can show you, for example, you are looking at this projector images. Now, imagine if I can have three of these here, there. What do you think would be the advantage or disadvantage? For example, how many eyes do you have? Do you have 6 eyes that you can see 3 screens at the same time? You discover that according to your eyes, even concentration, you can concentrate maybe at one image at a time, isn't it? So you are going to concentrate on this one, then you see that one, then you see this one. So if it's a comparison, it would be okay. But if it's a comparison of something of the complex nature, somehow it would also be confusing, because maybe like focusing, it would be distracting. For we're gonna up, something like. Or imagine, we have seen it before. I can give an example. A long time ago, we used to watch films. If you have ever went to the old Polytechnic, it was called the Polytechnic then. I don't know if you know where it is. Mubas now. So there's amphitheater. So the amphitheater has got 60 screens, right? There are screens, 3 screens in front, like one at the corner, another at the corner, another one at the center. And when you go up, there's also another screen here, another screen there, another screen there. So we could be inside the amphitheater watching the same film. And to discover, once we are watching, maybe I'm watching in the middle. A crowd at this corner say, yeah, make noise. Then I go and start checking the screen. Then at this corner, say, hey, and I start just checking this other screen, right? But what we are watching is the same thing. It was not the same like this one. But because there are so many screens, you could be thinking that maybe that they're watching different things this side. Maybe this one is different from this. So it is a little bit a distraction, right? But we'll think about it. But let's think about maybe the positive right now. The emphasis in this presentation is to provide a means of comparison, right? Or perspective, right? For example, if maybe I'm trying to show you, let me say I'm doing marketing, right? So I'm trying to show you a house. Okay, nkati my house ndugu, kuja kwa house ndugu, kwina ndugu. So instead of me to have a slide, we dig slide 1, slide 2, slide 3. I could just have maybe 3 images, right? Hii ya kati mwa nyumba, hiyo ya panja mwa nyumba, hii hapa kwa kuti. So people just look at it, say, oh, kati mwa nyumba ndugu, kwa kuti ndugu, kwa kuti ndugu, something like that. So it is maybe helpful in this way, whereby you are trying to compare or something like that. So we have got that benefit of using multi-image instruction, right? Like what we've been talking about, what benefits, right? The most important potential benefit of multi-image presentation is enhancing learning. Because as I'm saying, if there are three things, I'm talking about the three things. If I show you one image, if I change this image to show you another one, chances are there that you might forget of something about the image you see, right? Then you start concentrating on the other one. But if I can show you all the three or two at the same time, you will be able to see. And if, for example, if I say this is shoe, for example, you want to buy something, or you want to buy a shoe. If I can show you a shoe, what did the mozi, the which also, the what is also another shoe. I mean, how do you know maybe there are differences? You have to be remembering. You would even forgot. You would depend on but if I can take the sabbath zosezi and high was because bigger jobs, you are able to go and kumona apart because you are seeing them at the same time, right? You could see this komano pagudi pagudi so pagudi. But if I can show you padera emozi because I just you can think like they are the same. So in that aspect, it's more like it is helping, it's enhancing learning, right? That's a bill for 1 hour. It's been a while since I made that bill. The bill, I wouldn't have one about it. What are they say? I'm not even supposed to do that. I'm just curious. Oh, it's not even 11 o'clock and the bill, I don't know. Okay. That's a distraction, right? It's something as if you would it's another screen. I'm watching this. Okay. Enhancing learning, you can explain it, how it can enhance learning, as I'm saying. If you can be able to compare two things at the same time. Okay, another potential benefit is providing a better view of all students in a classroom by better distributing the visual content. Okay, providing a better view for all students in a classroom by better distributing the visual content. So, I mean, because you're trying to show all the students at the same time, right? So, that the better view aspect could be taken into account. I mean, it's the same thing whereby I mean, people are going to be able to notice to some other elements at the same time, as similar to what we talked about before. And yet, say that using multiple screens makes it more likely students will be close to at least one of the screens, right? Because assuming that there are three, 1, 2, 3, they could, if it was one, they could, the students who are going to be at that site, we have seen that even in primary school before, right? Because and when again we are used to kwa class. But you know kutoka karakubuye kuja, suo na budi kusogolo. You even know, kutuma struggle umangana kusogolo because you know so karakubuye. Even akadukomesa no so you struggle kuja kuko no so mbuye. But then paleta kana so in front, Amazon they will be seeing everything clearly as you go mbuye, right? So if I'm doing presentation, there are 1, 2, 3. Students who are going to be that side will be near to that screen, right? It means they will see clearly everything there. They will be having a problem with the But students who are going to be this side, they're going to be seeing clearly this. They'll be having a problem with the and they'll be clearly see. So you find good almost be now, they'll be clear. I mean, near to one screen, right? Which at least will help because they will not struggle to not understand all of them. They will just struggle to what this one and that one. So that's why they say that that's could be an advantage, right? Because once you just have one, decide and that projector or screen that projection they will all suffer together, right? So that could be an advantage, right? Okay. So that those could be also as other benefits. And another benefit is that duplication of displays provides a backup in case one of the projection system breaks down, right? So because you are having these machines, it can happen that maybe there's a problem. You are having it because it could be sometimes when you say but image, it's not always about different images. I've seen but images like in this case, whereby it's the same image, right? I'm expressing. If you have ever seen the way they do presentation, like the Apple company, right? When they say we are introducing a new product, iPhone 27, right? What do they do? They will stand at the podium like this. They will have maybe 3 screens behind. When they will show the same image. They will show the same image there, here, and here, right? So in that case, they are saying, for example, maybe there's a problem with the one projector. It is not functioning. It means you can now rely on the other projectors, right? It will help because you had some other projectors showing the same thing. But imagine you are using one that is malfunctioning. It means there's no anything, there's no backup. The session is going to end there, right? So that could be an advantage, right? Yeah. So, but I believe we are understanding when you talk about what matte image is, right? Are we lost there? Okay, because I want to be so sure. This is not complicated. Matte image, this is image, one image. This is not matte image. If I can have the same projector here, where I'm having another one here, this is a matte image. Another one there, that's matte image. So that's what we're talking about. What are the challenges of using matte image? Right? And I'm saying that in this matte image, you see most of these, especially when you go to lecture rooms of maybe especially public colleges, right? Chancellor colleges usually, because at every school, you have a certain class that is a bigger class, right? I don't know here, but most of the colleges, the Bachelor of Business Administration usually is the biggest class. I don't know why, and it's very surprising because I'm saying in Malawi we have got a problem of running businesses, but it seems like there are so many students learning about business and graduating with that degree of business administration. Where do they apply the skills of that degree? I don't know. Because when you go, most of the business that are done in Malawians, it's like of proper administrative, they're like management issues, right? Yeah, but most of the places, I think so. Maybe so here, but I don't know. But here, I hear a lot of social work. Seems like there's a lot of social work students. I don't know why, but there are so many of them. Yeah, but I mean, that's what's happened here. But if you go Polytechnic, BBA, because at the Poly, before, I think this time you see they constructed a certain building across, right? There used to be mathematical across, right? Already one of the whole like your class, the biggest one, the whole, I mean ABBA, I'm using that one. It was like classic times 2, right? Many didn't know that DE talubigizo kaimos, right? So akabati BBA umajira kuona chikulaga bwera kuti oya ndino kalusa pa traffic lights kupita mu class, kulowa class ndino bona oya. So or pali this, if you have seen this weird like butterfly, you say a certain structure looking like a butterfly, like that's also a presentation of religion. So, and it's nice because when you go like a lecture, so usually it's where you can find such kind of presentations. Mama displays or whatever. So it's like it's a special experience, right? Those classes are not even right? Because you are many Japan, who are gonna wound the muscle, everybody's looking at you good aware. And you can even feel that atmosphere. Nobody did the presentation here. So if you can think about it, it's like even when you go to the village, if you can say that okay, people are using this and they're excited because of this, it's like a film. So imagine if you can have 2 of this at the same time. So you can think about that. Okay, those could be advantages. But on the challenges, some of the challenges are obvious, right? Because for me to do a presentation using one image like this, I will need that. For me to do two of this, it means I will need two of those, right? For me to do three, I will need three of those. So you got to think about the cost, right? For you to have money, resources. So there are some potential challenges related to multiple screens. The first is the added expense of having more than one projection system in a classroom, right? So although it's different a little bit nowadays, because they say right now, maybe except maybe Malawi, because here everything is expensive. I don't know what happens. I don't think if there's something that is going down the price. Here, even the materials already they bought them cheaper. As time goes, the price still rises. Chintu chichakulidwa more cheaper a long time ago. Instead of the price going down, the price goes up, right? So, but when you go elsewhere, you discover that the prices they do go down as the time pass by, right? If you have your friends in maybe Europe, maybe you can do one that I'm talking something you do like afford you do. I mean they don't buy it could eat a. What they do, ikabwera buja, you know, good after one month or a week and gap, the price will be going down. So mango zugulira tena uzazugulira ukakona ka lady stick au mazagulira bizimire kwa siku, right? So I mean they do that. So nowadays, apart from that, because there's a lot of use of multimedia gadgets and with the coming in of China, so prices are not that expensive as in the past. In the past, it would have been a bigger challenge, but nowadays a little relatively expensive, but the people, I mean, most people could manage if they are doing this. So, but still, it's a challenge, right? It's not everybody who can manage to do that. Another one is an obvious one. If a student is sitting on the far side of the room, they may have difficulty seeing different images being shown on the screen on the other side of the room, right? Because normally, if you put something on the center or at the center, you make sure that you position it for everybody easy view. But if you have got so many of them, it means some of them you're going to put them inside, that is corner, that other corner, right? So you have that problem whereby a person who is on the far side of the room will not see clearly that image on the other side and the vice versa, right? And it can be also a problem. The students are sitting close to a screen on one side, which could make it more difficult to see a screen. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. And the distance from the closest seat to the screen could be increased to compensate for this. This is trying to say, I mean, if you're trying to compensate for this problem, right? But that could be one of the obvious problems on having this type of setup. So here, just giving an example. Somebody was using the multi-image, I mean, format, and this person, I mean, it was do some kind of a science presentation. Let me just see that science presentation. So here say stimulus presentation methodology using multi-image presentation was used in a recent research by these two gentlemen investigating multimedia preference for working engineers. So two projection screens were used because it allowed the participants to directly compare two different types of media, right? For example, if I can be talking about mass media, right? Or maybe the media. So I want you to compare maybe print media, electronic media, right? And the new media, right? So I could have screens, right? This is screen for print media, that is electronic media, this is for new media, right? So you could be able to see at the same time. So this was similar to that, right? And here talk about in the conventional single image sequential presentation format, the participant must hold an image in memory in order to compare, which is the problem. That's what I was saying. If you're trying to compare, most of the times you compare while you are seeing two things at the same time, right? If I can tell you, can you compare who you do? So we will more azime. Then we will more so the azime so ukapenda kaiba uye. So ndio compare those who mugire kuti uchamoni kabwanji. It will be a tough comparison, right? But if I can take these two people and put them together, okay, can you compare the two? It will be easier for you to compare, right? So that's why I'm saying that this multi-image presentation it's easier and it is more effective in the scenarios whereby you're trying to maybe compare and contrast, or to try to show that people should see issues maybe to do differences, or that elements to do with something like that. Right, so this is talking about the same thing. So this is an example. I don't know if it's going to be see. I think you can see it. Like here, so you have a presenter at the middle, like the way Ruben, I think this is the best example again, right? Here to color screen, the projection, is a projection, right? And you can even use the center one to play another projection, right? So in here you have this podium whereby the speaker is going to be, as you can see the setup, but this is what I was talking about. If there's someone at that corner, it means he is right? And you can see whoever was doing the presentation here, the font is very small. You see? Which means they'll struggle to see this one. I mean, they also struggle to see that one, right? But the ones who are going to be here are going to be easy to see this one easier, clearer, or they will also see that one clearer. So those could be the advantages. They are the one who can be at the back would easily see both, but the only problem would be with this presentation, the font seems like to be font size is a little bit smaller, to the extent that if someone is going to be at the back, will not be able to read the most of the contents, right? So, but this is just like an example of a multimedia setup. So it could be so many screens as like if you have ever seen people who present who commentate football, right? Commentators, right? When they commentate football from the screen. Had it been it was a presentation, you would have seen they could have a place like this one. They could have maybe 6, 7, or 8 screens at the same time, right? From that side to this side, right? So whatever they do, they see, like when they say there was a foul, there's going to be one screen that will be showing that. They will be having one screen. I think if you have ever gone to a television station, I don't know if anyone of you have managed to do that. If you haven't managed to do that, try to have time and go to any television station that you know. I don't know, but unfortunately, this small one they are available. But the NBC TV in Rongi, I don't know. I've never been there. I don't know. But in Blanta, the one that is at the Kwacha, maybe. But at times, they have got because there's what is called the control room, right? So at the control room, if it's a TV station, you have a room where there are people who control, who puts images, whatever. Then you have a room where a presenter will be, right? An anchor. The ones who read the news are like, but will be in a certain room. There's going to be a grassy here. So where these people who control the control room, they will have different screens. They will have one screen that will be showing the person who is reading the news in the studio, and they'll have another screen that will be previewing what is going to be shown after this person speaks something. So they could have maybe 3, 4. So they're able to check other things. So I'm just saying, give an example that you could go to some other complicated presentations whereby they could have more than 2. They could have 3, maybe 4, but for simplicity's sake, I think 2 like this is at least much more easier to follow, right? Because having many more than this, it could be a little bit confusing somehow. Okay, So let's go to multimedia now. Try to find maybe where is of try to talk about multimedia. Say multimedia is the media that uses multiple forms of information content and information processes. For example, you have text, audio, graphics, animation, video, interactivity, right? So they will use this multiple forms of information content and information processing to inform or entertain the user, right? So once you see the name or hear the name multimedia, you should just know who can the company they are involving themselves in more than one form of information content format, right? Or processing. It's not just if you say radio, you already know that is audio, right? It's only a voice, right? Television, you already know that all is images, moving images and the audio, right? So that's TV. But when you say multimedia, it means you might have capabilities of TV there, right? You might have element of audio there. You might have also element of print there. For example, the easiest way, just think about the internet, right? When you go to the websites, you discover that you have a page. At the same page, you also have links to a video, right? You have also maybe files, audio files at the same place. So you can have audio files, you can have videos, you can have element of capability of interactivity, whereby you can put a comment, right? You can also, so what you're talking about here, you can have graphics, you also have animation. So multimedia is involving these different formats or forms of informational types or formats somehow. Like here, talk about multimedia. Again, we try to put it in another perspective. Also refers to the use of electronic media to store and experience multimedia content. So I think in here, I know as I'm saying that I don't usually like it when they use the same term, but they try to drive us because a platform that usually use multimedia is an electronic form. We usually think about the internet, right? Which is in electronic form, right? And no wonder in the past when you say what are the two main types of media, right? In the past you were saying print and electronic. It was just two, right? So when you have characteristics of print was completely different to characteristics of electronics, right? But now the internet, coming off the internet, it has changed the narrative. That's why if you think you are told to say, okay, what are the main types of media? There are three instead of two, because there's a print media, which is magazine, newspaper, I mean, all these print forms. Then electronic, radio, TV, right? Yeah, yeah. Tikolini the room 8 majai, right? Yeah. Yeah. Right. So I want to say that the two broad forms of media, we talk about print media, talk about electronic. But in the whole scape, you're talking like from the beginning, they were talking about traditional media, print media, and electronic. When they said traditional, they were talking about those only type of media platforms, like the old ways of communicating, right? Using traditional dances, using all those, current people were communicating, right? But they were not using the media as we know it. They were using, I think some of them, they do use traditional forms, right? Whereby you say, these people, Madija now, these Nyao people, they will put a flag, a red flag, eh? And when people know, or something, that's a communication, right? To communicate to people, right? Or nowadays, I think when there's few days now, I think people know that, eh? They'll put flowers, branches of trees, eh? That's communication. Because people will know what it means. So it started with the traditional form of media, which was local, like traditional dances. They will tell you, you dance. They'll be having those stories. Eh? So they had all those. But now, when it comes to the modern media now, because in important terms, you could say traditional media and the modern media. So more traditional, local, modern, then you have print and electronic. Now we have got now what is called the new media. And when I say new media, it's more or less like a combination of print and electronic. Yeah? So the new media is the internet. Because on the internet, you're going to find characteristics of print media. Although it's not going to be, it's going to be in electronic form, eh? But you could have newspaper, you could have scanned from print, which is first we say, there's a way you write for print, you use the formal language. The way you write for broadcast or electronic, you use the informal language or conversation. But when it comes to the internet, it's different because you will find audio files there for radio, which were designed for only radio. You have video, television files are going to be there. Nowadays, you see people, they watch live. It's not live with TV, right? On the internet, right? You have a print. So it's a little bit different like that. No wonder when they talk about multimedia, usually people think about electronic and you go to think about an element of internet. But in our case, when we say multimedia, it means, okay, I would like to teach, but I will not just use I will not just use, let me say, TV, right? I will use TV. I will also use the audios. I will also use the images. So if you are using audio, you are using image, you're also using text, you are using, so what you are doing, you are using multimedia. So it means if you want to use multimedia, you need to know, because, for example, if you have got an audience, you could have an audience that could not get information well if you use text. But if you use the television, it's going to be easier, right? Maybe if you use audio, so audiences are not the same, right? So if you are using multimedia, it's a little bit tricky, whereby it means you need to know how to use it, how to go about it. And sometimes you have to design it. So the way you design it, you have to go through some steps, right? That, okay, how am I going to design this for my audience, right? Okay. Say multimedia is similar to traditional mixed media in fine art, but with a broader scope. So whatever is like a mixed media, right? That's why some just say rich media, because you're talking about a lot. This is the same thing. Talking about the same thing, we just try to define it in a certain way. Like multimedia has been used in many aspects in our lives. For example, in the field of business, in entertainment, in sciences. Nowadays they do that because in the past, kuto akuti advert newspaper alisa kupita newspaper at television. So if newspaper sigwira they will mass, right? If radio sigwira, but now it's going to, you can have an audience. It will take a good winner out of these four. One of them will work. So if you use multimedia, it means you are the advantage. kuti sukuti ubesa completely, right? Inakegwira, right? It's like amene apakaza betting zaona kuti ena akapaka bet ati matimu angapo kuti akaluza iyi at least ina games that win amene apodia similar to that one, right? So that's multimedia, whereby if you think about advantages, that could be one of them. Kuti I mean, if we one approach could not be effective, there could be one or two that will be effective, right? So and here talk about the multimedia comes from the word multi, and media, I mean, and media and multimedia, which is various, right? Media refers to any, you talk about hardware, software used for communicating. That's why I say media, you put it in the, that's why I say, when you say electronic media, it's like all these combined, that is going to be used for communicating, right? It's either it's soft or hard, but it's, as long as they are using, those are elements that are going to be using for mass sending, communicating of information, right? So here you see, you have in the multimedia, you have got the animation, you have got the printer, you have got the CD, which means if you maybe you have seen like a artist, I'm talking about you want to multimedia for advertisement or like in business, you see good upper guard event, yomweyo ilika ipi na newspaper, upper get ya TV, upper get ya channel, upper get na flyers, upper get swali na game CD. That's using multimedia, utilizing multimedia, right? Platforms. Right, so what else? I think that's multimedia. Just try to show the image in general of the what is involved in multimedia. As you can see, you have the use of computer, you have films, audios, you have something that is just for that's going to be physical. Yeah, so you have a lot that is involved. Quickly, elements of multimedia is what we have been talking about. It's like, what is it comprised in the multimedia? What is it? What made up multimedia, right? As we say that you have text, you have images, you have graphics, you have good audio, you have good video and animation. If you take text, images, and graphics, which meaning you have some elements that are going to be static, which are, I mean, static images or static like text. You also have some elements that are going to be moving elements, right? Like video, animation, or dynamic elements like audio, right? So maybe just in simple, try to break them down: text, graphics, audio, video, animation, images, right? But that's what we're talking about. If you can say you want to summarize to say, okay, what is multimedia, right? So you could use your own language. It's a form of communication whereby you use various formats of or media formats such as audio, graphics, text, images, video. So you will find the way you can put it in your way. I think I'm not going to spend much on these. This was just talking about images. We have images, and here we're just talking about the specifics of the images. Because when the images, it means if you are using multimedia, you should be aware that, okay, you don't just have one type of image. In images, there are different types. Like in the broader terms, you're going to have what are called bitmaps images, and you have vector images, right? Bitmap images is the images that are made by bits. No wonder there's bitmap there. Small dots, right? Small dots making an image, right? A photograph that we see, photographs, all these photographs are bitmap images. They are also called raster images, but they are made of bits or what are called pixels, right? Small dots coming together, like They are mathematical dots, right? While vector images, they are made of lines. So the difference between vector and bitmaps, when you take, it's a simple thing. Try to take my dots, or the one I look up, take it together. Together, my dots are blue. When you put them together, how can it look? What like a blue or beach, eh? Deep blue, eh? If you can